my name is Josie. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Josie Show, where I talk about my journey gaming from scratch as I was 24, I believe, when I first started playing video games ever. And so that's a little bit about what this TV show is around, or about what the show is around. And you can check out our last episode from last week in the collection, where we have Nader, my boyfriend, who is a huge gamer, huge streamer. He's the reason why I got into this. And he's going to come on and tell us more about his journey, how he got into it. And yeah, throughout this show, we're going to have multiple guest stars, some that are a little bit famous, especially in the Apex community. So can't wait to bring them on and give you guys some more insight on gaming in general as a female, maybe how to get your career started as one, and just gaming in general. So let's go ahead and bring Nader on, and we'll continue our conversation from last time.
Hello.
Hey,
how are you doing tonight?
Welcome back. I am good. How are you?
I'm good. So last time on the show, when we were talking, we kind of went through everything that I had done and finished at the end of my, at the time, career. So I basically stopped gaming about 2 years ago on the dot. I started gaming basically at the age of 2, but I started playing PC games, a mouse and keyboard. A lot of people start playing on controller or Nintendo, those games. So I was a little bit off the curve and did that. And I had been gaming for years and years. I thought as a young kid, gaming was really cool and competitive gaming was interesting, but I didn't think it made enough money. So I didn't think of making it into a career. I get into college and then streaming blows up. All of these content pages on YouTube and TikTok start blowing up. And I start realizing, holy crap, now there's so much more money in this. So I wanted to give it a shot at actually competing and putting myself out there. So because of my college, I was part of the esports program there. And so I competed for Counter-Strike, Apex, and Fortnite and PUBG for my university. And then from there, graduating college, I started competing at a higher level, playing against top tier teams, and eventually ended up getting into Twitch Rivals and competing through Twitch Rivals stuff. And that had ended up me where I am today. And yeah, so through everything, it's been a lot of my focuses were on shooter games, and I've kind of been through the works of it for over 20 years now. And so I've been gaming for 23 years now at the age of 25.
That is so crazy. And your Twitch Rivals, that was with Hyperscape, correct?
Yes, that was with Hyperscape. It had a short-lived life, but it was amazing. I loved it at the time. But one of the best things to come from that was technically it was my first time actually working with a game studio. So in all of my years of playing games, I never really got a chance to talk to developers. But so with Hyperscape, I got so close to a lot of these developers, a lot of these community managers, and it actually allowed me to become part of their, what's the name of it? It was like an ambassador program for Hyperscape. So essentially I was an Ubisoft ambassador. I had to sign NDAs, I had to sign papers, non-competes. There's a lot of stuff that I had to go through to actually do this. And I sat down and helped them with test plays and stuff of the game as the progress went. So it was kind of like a QA tester position. And it was just what I did because I really wanted to help out the game. But it actually gave me a foot in the door for the industry, which is really cool. And
being professional in the industry and really
being a professional, being a working that's being a working professional in the industry. So not just being a professional esports athlete or a it's just literally I was actually working on a game, which is cool. It wasn't to the degree that some other developers put in, but again, testing is still work in its own. And I never thought that I'd end up there. I never thought in all my years, and the company was Ubisoft, I never thought that these games that I was playing growing up, I played their games growing up all the time. My dad played a lot of the original Rainbow Six games, and that was a huge franchise that blew up. So I played all of these games by Ubisoft, and I kept saying Ubisoft. And so for all these years to finally actually work with them, that's, I don't know. For me, it's really weird. It's I don't know. You spend 20 years doing something and then you realize, wait, this company that I've been seeing the entire time, I'm working for them. Wow. I don't know.
So I want to talk about then, what would you say out of all your years of gaming, which has been the majority of your life, except for 2 years when you were an infant, what would you say are the biggest highlights of your time in gaming where it's like that's where moments where you thought, okay, this is amazing? Or because I know you put so much time and energy, whether it was just to get better at the game, whether it was to compete, whether it was to be a creator, like when were the moments where you're like, holy shit, this is cool, this has been life-changing, or I'm on the right path?
Well, so I feel like those are about a couple different questions, but I guess like the best way to say it is that with me, like my most memorable moments from my years in gaming, obviously just the entire time in Hyperscape, because that's when I had public attention on me about gaming. Like it had never just been like I'm good in private, and for all my other years, it's always been like I'm good between my friends or like within smaller groups. So having that public attention, it's nice. It's like really nice to have that. It's like, oh, like all these years of me gaming, I was able to get like 300 people in front of me watching my stream, actively chatting, getting hyped when I did stuff. Like that's, for me, that was like really, really, really cool, because I'd streamed for also years to 3 people, to 4 people, 5 people. It grew to like a nice community because of my college community, which I really appreciated. But even still, it was like I was streaming to 6, 7 people for years and years before I was able to break out. And those breakouts happen very fast. It's just how the game works with Twitch and content is when these new games come out, if you're at the top of those games and you're creating good content or you're making good content, then you start accelerating and blow up. Otherwise, it's a lot of years and years of grinding in silence. Like a lot of creators, they grind for years and years and years in silence before getting anywhere. And it's like, everyone's like, oh, you're an overnight success. And I felt like that with me.
I was going to say that.
Like, looking at me, it's like, oh, I had nothing for years and years. And then all of a sudden, like pulling up all these viewers to 300, it's like, that just doesn't happen overnight, but it kind of does. It's just all of that work is done behind the scenes, beforehand, trial and error, learning how to do things better. So for me, it's like, I was learning how to engage better on stream. And because it's hard, you can't just like, I mean, try it yourself for 8 hours to 12 hours. You're talking to just everyone while trying to focus on a game. And
I know. Oh my gosh, that was the hardest thing, is the you're not even just multitasking, you're quadruple. Like you've got 6, 7 things going on at once. It was crazy. I think my brain was so focused whenever I was streaming on like, and I was listening to music too, because I like listening to music. So it's like, you're listening to music, you're trying to think strategy with the game, you're trying to aim, you're trying to listen to your teammates if they're talking, you're trying to talk to your teammates, you're trying to read chat. Like there's so much that's happening. And then you're like, I remember I felt like because so much was happening, I didn't get sarcasm, because so much was going on that the sarcasm just
it flew
didn't go, just whoosh. And I remember watching a couple of my own streams back, and there were some things that I remember that were so embarrassing when I was live, because people are like, Josie, oh my God, how did you not get that? And then I would rewatch it and immediately be like, how did I not get that? But when you're in it, it's so hard to do like 20 things at once. Yeah,
so it's just, it gets very overwhelming a lot of the time with that. And people don't really realize it. It's like one thing to be good at games. It's one thing to be a funny person. It's a whole other thing to be able to like entertain while playing a game and talk and do these things all the same. It's weird. Like I look back at some of my clips and it's like funny to see my reactions, because I'm even overwhelmed. It's like something crazy happens, so I'm trying to react, but I don't know what to say. And so I say like some kind of like, sometimes it sounds cringe. I look back, I'm like, why did I say that? But it's because I just don't know what to say. But so again, it was me doing like 3 years. How many? So that was 22. Yeah. So those 3 years of me streaming on Twitch to like basically nobody, under 10 people the entire time. I had waves in Apex where I got to like 30 viewers and stuff, which was really crazy, but like it never was anything super crazy. And so I got to like practice at that time how to stream, how to portray myself, how to do better. And then once the attention started coming from Hyperscape, I started getting more people in my streams. I was able to portray myself in a way that was entertaining, engaging, and reactive for the community. And one thing I was always told I was good at was responding to everyone in chat. I literally responded to 99% of messages. It's one thing that a lot of smaller people don't realize it's important. I've seen so many people see messages come through and they ignore it. That is the one thing that will kill your stream faster than anything else, because each person, that's their one shot at you becoming their viewer or thinking that you're going to be a good streamer. So if I come into a random, I come into a chat, it's like there's only 20 people watching. I'm going to type something out, and a minute later, someone else types something, and then the streamer responds to them, but not me. Like it is just over. Your chance of me ever being a viewer is gone. And that's just, it's just how it is. It's like, if you ignore someone in real life, like, what do you expect? Like, if you're not going to talk to them, how do you expect to get these viewers? You have to start off somewhere. You have to engage until you're like super famous, 1,000 viewers every stream, so many comments, you can't even keep up with it. Like, I get that. That's when it's a time to like not respond. But otherwise, like in between, like respond to everyone. Don't have an ego. Like, everyone's in your chat for a reason.
Right.
Just literally talk to people. So that's just one thing that a lot of people don't really realize that ends up happening with streaming.
It's just like walking into a party. I think a lot of people, this is an analogy.
It's like walking into a party. Are you going to be the one that walks in? It's like, hey, how are you doing? What's up? Like, let's go get a drink.
Thanks
or
for
are you going to
coming.
be there in the corner and
Thanks
just be
for
like,
being here.
Just sitting there in the corner being like, just not doing nothing.
Or even being like the cool girl and just being like, oh, I'm just like not going to talk to anybody. Or like,
and then someone comes up to me like, hey, you're cool, and then just
like the mean girl stare, the like up and down, like
up and
like
down,
you can't even be bothered with their presence. And it blows my mind when people do that. And even what I would do, I would go to the extent to where if I knew that it was the final circle or it was going to be really intense and I had to pay attention to the game, I would say, I'm so sorry, chat, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to read all your messages. The only time I did ignore a few people though, but I didn't intend, like I did it on purpose because they were being creepy.
Yeah, it's weird or creepy.
They were either being creepy. It was too much, but it wasn't worth blocking them because I didn't want to make a fuss. That's a whole other thing too. You have to figure out, like, it's a very fine line of, is somebody just having a bad day, or are they making other people uncomfortable? Or like, if you just ignore them, maybe they'll get the hint. 9 times out of 10, though, nobody gets the hint. Some people will just be like, why aren't you responding? And I just straight up, really like, I see it loud and clear, but I'm ignoring it. But that's the only time that I would. And then,
that's an exception. It's like, again, it's fine to do that stuff when it's people that are weird, creepy, anything like that. But it's just in general, if you're trying to grow a channel, you want to respond to every single person, because that, like, especially at the start, you have zero support. Like, maybe you've got a friend, like me, was my roommate. He would throw on my stream sometimes. And even still, when he was home, he wasn't having my stream on the entire time. And I couldn't get mad about that because, like, he's got a life too. Like, he's doing his own thing. So it's just, that would be my only support. And again, if you have someone that comes in your chat, you want to treat them right, make sure they're interested, ask them questions, especially when you're small. You've got all this time, you're playing games for hours. And if someone's there and you're not talking, like, what? At least have conversations with that one person. Like, maybe you get an hour of conversation, you ask them interesting questions, you learn, oh, hey, they're like all the way in Oklahoma, or you're like, wow, you're all the way in Alaska and you do deep sea fishing and it's your off season, so you like to game. Like, wow, that's so cool. I never thought I'd meet someone like that. And then you go and talk, you're like, I've never gone deep sea fishing. Like, aren't you scared shitless? Like, I don't know. Like, you go and converse. So
or like, how many fish have you caught? What's the most amount of fish that you've caught? And some people aren't good at conversation, and that's okay. And there are some like comfort streamers that don't really need as much excitement. And of course, like, if you're a streamer, you're thinking about getting into it, always do what feels right to you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. If like, just don't. It's not worth it. It's not going to last. You're going to get depressed. Like, that's a no. And also, even if you are an excited person and you do want to welcome everybody, this is what I have heard from a lot of people, especially the introverts, is that you can see, if you click on the eye, if you're not a streamer, I'll explain it. You can click on the eye and it shows you the names of everybody that's watching. And some people are just lurkers. Some people don't want to be called out. So if they're not typing and you see them in there, I recommend not being like, hey, like, how's it going? Or like trying to force conversation on them, because some people just want to lurk. They're just there. They might be keeping you on in the background. They're not listening. So that's another thing. But yeah, I think that those are some really good tips.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Going back to the main thing that you're talking about, were fond memories of me. So for me, it was Hyperscape that first time, having like real big attention public. That was like obviously really nice, because it's just, you're able to kind of like have something attached to an experience where you're able to be like a tangible thing, like, hey, I had 300 people watching me at a time. Like, when you think of that, that's an entire lecture room just staring at you, watching at you. That's pretty cool. And it's like,
again, think about like a party.
Willingly. Yeah, again, it's willingly.
Yes.
10 people all around you trying to talk to you. Now imagine 300 people all around you trying to talk to you and focused on you. Like, it's really crazy once those numbers change. And you think on a screen like, oh, you've got 1 viewer, 2 viewers. If you think of it, you've got 3 viewers, that's like 3 friends hanging around you. If you've got 25 viewers, that's like a school bus of people just like hanging out with you, focused
that are all eyes on you. Yeah, exactly.
So it's a whole different experience.
I will say though, sometimes like, yes, they're focused on you, but even with my chat, and I think with a lot of people's chat though, they'll talk to each other. Like I know people have become friends in my chat because they were talking as well. So it really is like a party. Like if somebody walks in and if you've got 3 people that come in through your front door, right? And you want to offer them drinks, you want to be hospitable, that's where you ask those questions. And then imagine 10 people coming into your door, and then imagine 100, and then 300. When you look at it as a number on the screen versus in real life, then you're like, holy, that's so many people. And this is another thing too, but we all know that a lot of people have fake followers on social media, and this is what somebody who I know who actually like bots them for people, and they said, think about 300,000 people like all with one person. Do you know how hard that is? Like that takes up, think about a stadium. That's like tons of stadiums, you know, like, or even 1 million people. Imagine 1 million people all like focused on one person, even just following. When you think about it like that as true individuals, it's mind blowing. And luckily the internet, you can get people from all over the world, but it's crazy.
So earliest moments, I guess that were like highlights of gaming. First time playing first person shooter games. So it's like me playing Quake when my dad would play, I'd take over. It was a lot of fun. Then playing my first LAN experience, which was playing against another computer within the same house. So I had a friend came over and we played Red Alert 2. And for me, it was just like at the time, like, online gaming wasn't really a thing. It was like still like not big. Like even at the time, like Xbox Live wasn't as big as it was. PlayStation Live wasn't as big. Like there were some people that played on the internet, but it was very, very, very few. So even on a PC, the only way to do it was if you were connected to the same network and you didn't want to connect online, you could connect to each other and play against each other. So it was like real time, no lag, you're playing against friend. So that was a lot of fun. And then transitioning from that, basically I think the next big thing was like Call of Duty when Modern Warfare 2 came out. Because that was my first experience like playing a game a lot of hours with a lot of friends, like in real life friends. That was like a different experience, and that was a huge highlight of its own because it created a lot of memories, like fun times. That's also when I first started competing. I tried to do game battles for Modern Warfare 2, and I competed with friends from my middle school, and all of them got absolutely destroyed and egos crushed to the point where they never wanted to play one of these things again with me ever again. Like they all were just like, why would you ever let us do that? Like, this is so stupid. Please, like, we're never going to play this with you again. I'm so sorry.
I feel their pain.
I was like, oh my God.
I feel their pain.
That's like crazy. But so that was my first competitive experience. And obviously that's like not very comforting if all of your friends give up on you. So, and it was like,
but it's because you were too good though. It's because you were too good.
It wasn't even I was too good. It's just they were not good enough to hang in those games.
Okay, but I put up a fight. I know we talked about this a bit.
Yeah, because when we first started playing, you started playing Apex games with me, and we were playing in my lobbies, which had Apex Predators, which are these top ranked players.
Hold on, I need to explain my perspective and when I realized that, like, okay, I actually can hang. So yeah, I think we talked about this in the last episode, how you were a pred and had like an insane gamer with everything, especially with Apex. Were there any other stats? Like you're two-time pred, one-time pred, like 3-time masters?
That's fine, don't worry. I was one-time pred, one-time master, but
okay,
that was the only
still awesome player, like insane. I come in brand stinking new to the game. I'm on mouse and keyboard, which is arguably harder than console. And I know some of the console people again are going to be like, oh my God, that's not true. But so I came in and we're in your lobbies. I'm getting just completely shit on. Like, I feel like I'm finally trying to get my surroundings, and you guys are doing a good job. I'm playing with one of your friends or your brother, who's also very talented, been in gaming forever. I'm like, oh, how do I grab stuff? Like, I'm trying to grab stuff, I'm trying to shoot at people. And I remember my very first kill. And like, I didn't realize though, when I had my own lobbies, that it was going to be so much easier. And so that was a really like crazy experience. But yes, I definitely know exactly how that is. But I fought. I was a fighter. I was like, I want to get better because I don't want to be so bad. This is embarrassing. Like,
so that's like the first start. I start playing that. Black Ops comes out. I start playing Black Ops. I start playing with my dad's friend, because my dad actually plays soccer like on Sundays all the time. So he was like a little bit younger as in like 30 something. The dude is like part-time actor or something, like a foreign actor in Italy or something. Just plays Call of Duty all the time in his free time. He just has nothing else to do. He makes money and does his thing so he can just play. So we were playing all the time. Every weekend I'd play with them, and every weekend we would get into the top 10 of the prestige leaderboards, which was only for like, it's like not everyone's leaderboards. It was only people that had like gotten to whatever certain level and then decided to redo their level. So it's kind of like only for people that really played a lot. But so again, every week the leaderboard would change and I was always top 10. So for me there, I was like, whoa, I'm like actually good at games. And then I transition away from console gaming in that year. So 2013-ish, I get a PC, a gaming PC, because I want to start playing PC games again. I was like, okay, console's fun, but competitive gamers play on PC, so I want to play on PC. And so I start playing just everything on that point. I think Counter-Strike was my next big thing because that's when I started really playing a lot. And I was watching esports for Counter-Strike a lot. And that really kind of drove a lot of it. And there was also a very big period where I did CSGO gambling because it was very popular. It's actually what it got a lot of people into the game. But I watched a lot of these professional games and I was like, wait, I can bet money on and it wasn't really money. It was in the in-game items were worth certain amounts of money. So I'd bet like $2, $3 here or there, like make a couple extra dollars and just like keep betting. And it was like cool and fun, but then I kind of stopped because I was like, it's gambling, so I don't want to keep doing that.
What are your thoughts on that with gambling and with kids that are younger? Because
I think it's
kind
terrible.
of avoid some stuff?
No, it's terrible. My generation was the generation that playing through games, you were the one introduced to all these predatory mechanics and stuff. And it was just like, for me, I started playing FIFA and my friends like, play Ultimate Team. It's like, you get to have all these like packs of characters. And if you have your favorite soccer player or whatever, like you get to play as them, you get to have a custom team. And I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. So I'd buy these packs. I'd spend $20. I'd buy like 40 players that were at random. Maybe one was really good. And then I'd play with a shitty roster, make some money in the game, whatever, like buy some more players, and then 2 weeks later, pay $20 more. And I kept doing that. And I ended up spending like $300 over the year making my ultimate team because I only played a lot of FIFA. And lo and behold, like, again, I'm gambling to get a better player. I'm not guaranteed a better player every time I pay for these packs.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep playing a lot of time. I have to play a lot to like get more players too. And then at the end of the year, the new FIFA came out and they're like, hey, yeah, all those characters that you have, all those players you have, doesn't matter in the new FIFA. Jeez. It doesn't carry over. So you have to pay for it all. And after that happened, I was furious. I was like,
oof, yeah,
like it literally, they can't carry it over. All that money that I spent, they can't carry it over. Like, no. It doesn't seem right. That was predatory. And
I'm sure that made a lot of people pissed off and not want to continue, actually. I feel like that was bad marketing.
There's a lot of things that happen like that across games, and it's a problem. And it's why a lot of these live service games, which is now a lot of these games, it's all about like every week there's an update, there's something new. Like Fortnite I think Fortnite did a really bad job. Or like, it was good that they did it, but also really bad. It spoiled a generation of gamers to be able to have that much content that frequently. But so it gets rough when it gets into the nitty gritty of these things and a lot of these predatory practices. And unfortunately, they're here to stay. I think that, back in my day with games, you wouldn't pay for a skin. You went to a website, someone else that was a nerd went into like a visual editor to like change up a skin. So instead of a apple, you've got like a banana now or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it'd be funny to be like, oh, let me do this. And they'd like work on animations. It was like an independent developer working on something.
That's
you just
cool.
download it and use it.
Yeah.
But now it's like, yeah, anything that you want different, $10, $20. And it's kind of insane. But I don't think that's going anywhere. People will pay for the things they want to pay for. It's just it's sad to see the direction it's come.
Yeah, it's almost like too much at that point. So okay, we're going to take a super quick break. And when we get back, we're going to continue talking about your highlights. And then I have a couple more questions as well that we'll get into. So we'll be back. back. So keep telling us about some of the like highlights of some of the best moments for your gaming.
So some of the first moments that were best probably were, again, just going over the ones that I said, just first playing FPS games, first playing my first like LAN game, playing my first online game versus other people. That was a shooter game. That was with my dad when I was younger. Then playing Modern Warfare 2, first time playing with a bunch of friends, game online. Going from that to Counter-Strike, playing a competitive game with some in real life friends online. And then it was going into college, where the highlights after that were kind of just restarting gaming again. So PUBG was a whole new genre, Battle Royale. That was just brand new. And for me, I played a lot of that. That was very cool. And then at that time, seeing like Twitch and everything blowing up. So just from there, I think my Counter-Strike college career, I look back to and I really miss it because it was just so much fun. It was just a bunch of people from my same school all playing at a really high level at a video game we all loved. It was just cool. And on top of it, an entire crowd of guys, I love them to death because we were all nerds, but they're like, I call them social cool nerds. There's a bunch of nerds out there. And we have some super geeky nerds, some extremely awkward nerds,
which we all love. We all love.
I love them all. I love them all equally, but it's just a whole other experience when you've got a bunch of social nerds all together.
Yeah.
And we would like hang out. We'd go to In and Out like after games and stuff. Just I don't know. This is like social, fun, cool. Like it's community. It's like it's nice.
Yeah.
So that was something I really looked forward to, and then after that. Just that I had kind of dove into gaming, and I guess like grinding to pred was fun. Getting like, again, all of my top accolades that I've had in games. So just like grinding to pred, hitting top 100 in this game, top 100 in that game, hitting rank number 1, just all of those things together for me, like those are amazing experiences. And it's like really cool to be able to look back and be like, yeah, like out of like all these people, I was in the top 100. I was in the top 100 for that. Like, I don't know. It's just like kind of nice. And I think that was like the last of just like everything before going into Hyperscape and having all that attention. But again, it's a different experience for everyone. And I think we should transition this from like what I've done to like the careers that you can get within gaming.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot that you can do. A lot of people don't realize it. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to look at yourself and be like, okay, like some people, I hear this thousands of times. Same thing with sports. All these kids are like, I want to be a professional football player. I want to be a professional baseball player. I want to be a professional Counter-Strike player. I want to be a professional Valorant player. And they come on, they can only spend at least like 1 month with a team before like quitting and calling everyone bad and just like making excuses and stuff. And so what ends up happening is that I had hopped. So in that time, I'd hopped between like 20 plus teams in like 5 years. Like when you think of that, that's absolutely
crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, that's
like what professional athlete even hops 20 teams in their entire life?
Yeah.
Like not many. So imagine 20 teams. Like it's unreasonable. It's like all these people, they don't understand. They just need to be within the same group, practice consistently for years and years. And then after a couple of years, when you're really solid, then you can be like, hey, maybe we're not the best fit, but you need to be in an environment that allows you to learn, practice, and get better. And it doesn't happen by changing it every month. So you have to look back at yourself in a serious way and realize if what you're saying can be done. I'm not saying don't go for your dreams, like definitely go for them, but be realistic. If you know that you're not a competitive person, but you want to be a professional, think twice. A lot of these times, these professionals aren't even making as much money as other people could. If you're a very social person that makes people funny, if you can be social, you can be funny, you make people laugh, think about content creation. That might be something that's really good for you. Or better yet, if you're good at coming up with jokes, but you don't like being on camera, think of being maybe a content writer for these things.
Or a VTuber, right?
Or VTuber, yeah, exactly. You don't want to be like, if you don't have your own personal self shown, you can be a VTuber. You can be an anime character now and just like be an anime character on the internet. Like there's all of these different options, but the big thing is to just look at yourself and be realistic on what you can and can't do. Understand what dreams that you want to have versus what things you want to push for. Like, again, if you weren't a competitive person but wanted to be a pro, I still think it's worth to try it. Like, go for that experience. But go into it knowing like, hey, I'm not competitive. This might not be for me. And then experience it yourself and then be able to be like, oh, hey, like that was either fun, bad, good, yes, no. And then go to the next thing. But when finding a career, there's a lot of hidden things that you can do. And it doesn't take a lot to start up. Like right now, actually just yesterday, I was playing Warzone 2 which is new. I never played the first one actually, but I played a couple games, so I didn't really play it. But I was playing with someone that was a friend, and he invited me to friend's Discord, and I was talking with this guy. This guy, he, since the pandemic started, was trying to find ways to make money. So he was editing TikToks for people, and he would pay, he'd make people pay for like a package, and they'd spend $200 for 20 videos for the month. And
that's such a good deal. That's a really good deal.
He was doing killer deals. And so he kept doing that till he was able to build enough of like group of clients and started scaling. And so all he's doing is he's taking videos that they literally already had, throwing on TikTok sounds, making it vertical, and adding like a couple things. Once you get down to it, it probably takes like a lot of hours the first time, but then if you learn how to do it, then the next time it's faster, next time it's faster, next time it's faster. And then all of a sudden you can pump out in an hour, probably like 5 of these videos. And you're working at that point 2 hours making $100 per hour. And so if you think of that, you start scaling. Like, people need content more than ever today. People don't want to edit. And if you can provide like competitive rates for editing, and you find yourself it just takes one client, like they start blowing up because of you. You can start charging more because they want to keep you. You're the one making them all of that extra. You're saving them time. You're making the money. You can start upcharging. And then because you've made someone famous, you can say, hey, if you go to me, I've made people famous already. Come back to me. So there's a lot of this opportunity in the space, in so many spaces. So I think we were just saying, being a professional, you can be editing for someone, content creation. There's people that do ads. There's people that do sponsored videos for mobile games. If you get any sort of audience that you can put in front of you and you say, hey, I can reach 10,000 people, let me sponsor your mobile game. You do like maybe a stream, maybe a 10-minute video. They'll pay you $2,000. You're like,
whoa, that's crazy.
Like, whoa, like $2,000 for just like talking about a game and just like playing a mobile game I'll never touch again. But it's real. That's how this space works. And so you just need to start, I guess, like my biggest advice is play around with everything that you can and realize what works best for you. Some people are really good at being the main character. Some people are really good at being the supporting character. It just really depends. You might be a business person to where it's like, hey, you shouldn't even be playing games in the first place. Make a company that helps gamers in some way, either make mouse pads
or merch or something, like anything.
Whatever.
And also, I do think it's important as well. Some people don't want to monetize based off of, like, it's genuinely just a hobby, and that's totally fine. Like,
there's a great example of that. There's literally a dude that lives out in the woods or cabins.
Yes, on TikTok. Yeah.
He literally just streams him gaming, doesn't even have chat. Just streams himself on Twitch.
Have you seen his streams? Is he the one that I showed you with his van?
Not the van guy. This is a guy literally in a log cabin. He like lives up north somewhere. I think he's Canadian, and just
we love our
goes throughout his day, and then like gets on from like sometimes you just no schedule, just like 6 to 10, 7 to 10, maybe 7 to 11, just gaming, and then he ends stream, and he's got like hundreds of people watching it. Like you can literally do anything. You just have to be consistent. Like,
and some people also maybe don't want to stream, or they don't like, whatever you want to do, you have the ability to. And if you're like, oh, I just want to be a gamer, gaming is going to be in my life, I want to do it casually, that's fine. If you're thinking about doing the monetization route, then you can listen. Nader, I think you had some fantastic tips on that about trying everything. I think it's also important with what you were saying with, if you're on a team, to give it at least a couple of years and then say, okay, this isn't working, and not hopping around if you want to be competitive, but absolutely try. And when it comes to content creation too, you can't overthink, like, and it takes so much time. There's so many examples, exactly like what you were saying, of the overnight successes, when usually it takes 300 or 400 videos to get there. There's this fantastic girl, her name's Kat Liente, and she said that she blew up overnight from her stream blew up, and she was able to apply for partner, which was crazy. And people kept saying, oh, you're just an overnight success. And she goes, I posted over 400 videos on TikTok before one of them blew up, and then it looks like I was an overnight success. But everybody's just so quick to say that. And also, like, you can't make excuses when you try things and it doesn't work. You can't, like, don't blame other people. It's what you're doing, and it's okay. But then that's when you go try something else, or you mix it up. If you say, hey, I really like content creation, I want to have my face here, but I'm not doing well with what like the current videos I'm doing. Okay, then try a different editing way, or maybe do gameplay, maybe do some trending sounds, maybe even just talk to the camera and give it a solid effort before you quit. I think too many people give up too fast. And also it just might not be for you. Like streamers, if you try to go on Twitch and you don't do anything else and you don't want to, and like you're not just going to blow up, and it might take you multiple people or multiple times when you only have a few people, but that's normal. People go years without having viewers. So, and the only reason I feel like it was easy for me was, or not easy, was we can get into the whole like, you're a girl, so you're of course gonna blow up, which, to be honest, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about my journey, especially because Nader, you're the reason why I got into it. So I'll start with the PUBG.
Really quickly, I wanted to see if I could bring up a quick screenshot because I wanted to show what my viewer count looked like throughout just the experience. So let me see if I can. So as you can see over here, this is my average viewers at the time. Like again, 14. I'm not a crazy Twitch streamer with tens of thousands of followers, but this was just my experience.
Yeah.
I start streaming here. You see just on average 3 viewers, 2 viewers, 1 viewer, 0.
Oh my God, look at that.
3. It's tiny, nothing. And then I take a bit of a break. Then this comes around. I start streaming a bit harder. It's like, okay, like 5.89, 6, 7, 8. Like, okay, like awesome. Take a little break, another little pop right there. Take a break, another pop here. And again, like getting a bit more traction. Like I'm starting to actually do it every time that I stream, like I get attention. This is when Hyperscape comes out. This is when I go all out, and you can just see all of that.
Yes, that's crazy.
And so between here and here, that was 2 years. That was 2 years of me. Like this is like probably like a quarter of a year consistent. Then I took a break. This is probably like half a year to like 9 months being extremely consistent. And then again, like a break, got another like 8 months with like a couple months in between of just like breaks, going to see family and stuff. But it literally was all of this 2 years before hitting this. And besides that 2 years, it was also 20 plus years of gaming and getting good. And people were watching me because I was good at the game. So that didn't just happen like, again, from me starting the game first day and playing good. It's like 20 years of me playing, practice, all of that together coming into all of that. So you can just see how fast this blows up. And what happened was, as this was blowing up here in viewer count, the game was overall crashing in player base. So it literally happened at the same time where I rose up and came down just as fast because the game itself became irrelevant.
I know, you can see it in the chart.
Like you can just see this. And
the pain.
The craziness of it is that if this game were to have blown up equivalent to Fortnite or Apex or any of these things, like this would have been able to stay consistent or grow even higher. But with no player base, no viewer base, no one cares. So as sad as it is, this is kind of like how a lot of these stories end. And there's a lot of people that like I've been seeing stop streaming, you never hear them ever again. And it's like these people just disappear off the face of the earth. But that was my stream experience, and I know that you had a bit of a different one. So that was just like how that's a visual of seeing like the overnight success when it's not really overnight.
And it still didn't even last, but of course that was for other reasons. So yes, my journey, how I got into it was of course from you. And I think this is really important to say too, because you're never too old to start. Even if you don't know anything and you're starting from scratch, you can absolutely do it. Even if you're a girl, no matter what your situation is, no matter who you are, it's never too late if you want to give it a shot. So because I knew that you had always been a gamer, I did not want to be the girlfriend that was like, you need to not do this because you're not giving me any attention. Even though there were times that I probably wanted to. I thought, you know what? I'm going to at least give it a shot, see if I can get into it. He clearly likes it. Like, let's see. And at the time we had 5 friends. I know we touched on this a little bit last time. You guys were all living in the same house in college. It was sophomore year and everybody had their PCs.
And junior year.
And junior year, yes. You all had a house together, and it was the 5 guys who were all of our friends anyways, and they needed a place to live. So in this house. And then you guys got an extra room. And so of course you said, well, let's turn it into the gaming room. So there were 5 PCs, and I'm sure you guys can imagine, those of you who are gamers, it got hot. You'd open the door and it'd just be like whoosh from all the
5 PCs on in the same room. Yeah.
Yes. And then everybody
in Arizona
yelling.
in the desert.
Yes. And then everybody like yelling. It was so fun though. And it was interesting though, because half of our friend group that weren't gamers, it made you guys were so antisocial. You would never go out because you were social being antisocial because you had that room. And there were two girlfriends that had the boyfriends within this house that were friends. I was one of them. And my friend at the time, she was also one of them. And we would be over at the same time sometimes, and our boyfriends would be there, and then we would just be bored, and we're like, oh, what are they doing? And we wanted to participate. I used to sit in a beanbag chair in the middle of the room and like draw while they were all gaming because I just wanted to talk to them, but they were all I didn't have a computer or anything. And so the other girlfriend was just as fed up. And so there was one day when they were all gaming, and it was when PUBG came out. And they had explained to us, as we touched on last time, that it was like the Hunger Games, where it's a battle royale, you get a bunch of people there, you want to pick up your loot and then kill them. And so we looked at each other and we were like, move. We scooted our boyfriends off. And so it was us two, and we're just trying to play. We're like, how do you move? And you guys were so awesome teaching us. You're like, W keys to go forward, and this is how you crouch. We were just like totally starting completely from scratch on our boyfriend's computers, M and K, like totally raw dog, and like trying to figure out how to do this. And we had so much fun. I think having her and that positive experience with her made the biggest difference for me. And we started getting on more and more and kicking them off, which thanks, by the way, for you guys. And I remember too that you were streaming, and afterwards when you guys were in that house for a year, right? It was a year that you were together, and then you went off. And when the pandemic hit, I remembered having fun with that game, and because it was so antisocial, and I didn't understand because you'd be on there for like 6 hours, right? And I've always been a show person. That's how I relax and unwind. And after a couple hours, I get kind of bored and feel like a potato, whether I'm sitting in bed or on the couch. But when you're gaming and you're talking to people, it's like such a fun experience. And when COVID hit and you couldn't be around people, I had so much time. I had a business, and so I had a really fancy like spaceship of a computer over here. And so it could download Apex, which you were playing, and it was trending. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then you were also streaming, and I was like, I could totally do this. Like I feel like I would get more attention, like being somewhat of a cute girl. There's not as many girls on there. And so, yeah, I was like, this will be so easy. It is not
versus reality.
It is not, I have to tell you. And I have like a whole marketing background and everything too. And even Lulu Lovely, she's one of the top, I think she started with COD, right? And then she went into Apex.
Apex is where she blew up. So Apex is what made her famous.
Apex is where she blew up, but she's always been gaming like since she was a kid. I'm pretty sure she had brothers too, but she's always been a gamer. Really cool girl. You guys should totally check out her stream. She's huge. And even she has a marketing background too. And she talked about her struggle and not her struggle, but how long it took for her to blow up. Right. And this is what I'll say. And I know that some people might have different opinions or different experiences, especially as women. And I'm going to get some other women on here as well to talk about it. I want to dive into their experiences so you guys can see a little bit more when they started, how their journey went, some of the struggles or benefits to being a girl that they found. And I've seen that there are less women that are streamers compared to men. And I think as a woman, you can get people to click on you because it's like, ooh, it's a girl gamer or whatever, which I also hate that term. It's the same thing as like boss babe, boss bitch. Like we're just a boss. I'm just a boss. Like
you don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to be a bitch. You just want to be a boss.
Don't want to be a bitch. Right? It was like the Netflix special that we watched of Liza Schlesinger where she's like, boss babe, yes, queen, get it. No, we don't need to get that. And so I'm like, we're just gamers. We're not like, oh, it's a girl gamer. Like, no, you're just a gamer. You're just a boss. Anyways, so I will say like guys do click on you more often, but you have to keep their attention. You have to, whether you're good at the game, whether you talk to people, and it's also hard to get seen. So Twitch in particular, I think YouTube has a lot better discoverability. I haven't been on YouTube. I have some friends that have been on there, which again, they'll come on the show and can talk to you a bit about those experiences. So that's something to look forward to next time. But Twitch has really bad discoverability unless you're like a mid-level, like I would say maybe 20 average viewers or so, then you get on people's recommended. But besides that, it's like nada. And so if you're going to be successful, you have to use other platforms. And I think with Nader's journey, you have always been more of a Twitter and I would even say YouTube person. Did you ever post you posted some YouTube videos, which is, if you're applying to Twitch partner, you do need to build your case, and they ask you about your Twitch and your YouTube, which
they look at your total audience of everything. They ask for all your socials, and so if you show them like, hey, because you as a Twitch person, you may not be a gamer, but let's say that you're an arts and crafts person and you got like an Instagram page and it has like 50,000 people because you do a really good job at what you do.
Yeah.
Well, if you start doing art streams, you get 75 viewers. They want to know that you have an art page. They don't want to be like, oh, like you don't game. Like, no, they're going to look at all the stuff. So they'll see your Instagram, they'll see your creative pages. If you have a YouTube, it helps. So the more you have out there, it's like a portfolio. It's like, hey, do we want to go? Like, is this person someone that we can see being like a Twitch partner or something?
Yeah.
But so all of it helps. Everything across every platform.
Hard. Oh my God, it's so hard to get Twitch partner. And even, I didn't even make it. I'm so glad that you did, but you also were streaming for a lot longer.
I only got to apply. I only got to apply to, and I still got denied.
Yeah, you were so close, but it's still not too late. Yeah. I would like to actually start grinding again to get back to that, because I think that'd be really cool. But yes, growing on different platforms was helpful. And as I mentioned in the last one, I used TikTok because I knew that going viral was a lot easier there. So then you could get more traction. So again, I posted 3 times a day for an entire month, gained 10,000 followers. And the funny thing is, even being a lady and everyone's saying, oh, you have it so easy. The video that went viral wasn't even me. It was me playing music over an insane ALGS, an Apex Legends tournament that happened. And it was a really good clip that I took from Twitch. And then I put some like headbanger music over it because I thought it was funny. And that was the most that it blew up. It wasn't even me.
Did it hit millions? I'm pretty sure it did.
Or like a 500,000 or so. I don't think it actually hit in the millions, but people were like, oh, you're a girl, it's easy. And anytime that I'd show my face, like I had a couple ones that were funny that did well, but the one that did the best to this day wasn't even
pure me. Apex. It was literally pure Apex. And it was like, you couldn't even hear the announcers really or anything. It was just like,
I wasn't talking over
headbanging, dubstep, and crazy, just like clips. And so it's just, at the end of the day, I really don't think that being a woman just makes it easy. I think it's still hard.
There are
differences, hard for everyone. Though. There are differences. And it's like, maybe you can attract people a certain way because you're a woman. Like, again, there's some people that, like, hey, if you're wearing like no top, maybe, it's easier to get some attention, but think of the quality, like long time value of that person viewing you. Is that who you want to be watching you?
Right, exactly.
That's the person you want in your community. Do you want them just to be staring at your tits all day? Like,
and if you want that, like,
if you want 100 people staring at your tits all day, go ahead, go and do that. But otherwise, it's like.
And I think also, if you are a female and you're looking into getting into streaming and you don't want to do that, if you do, again, go for it. That's totally fine. That wasn't what I wanted at all. And so, like, I would wear even like tops like this where I wouldn't try to. Some days I wouldn't care as much. And like, you should wear what you want and you shouldn't have to be sexualized, because women are not just objects, of course. But it did make it a little bit easier if you're not trying to have to defend yourself or do that. So I recommend, like, if you're looking into it, you don't want to, like, just, and that's what a couple other ladies have said too, who have blown up and said the same thing. That's like some decent advice. But yes, I would say that you might be able to get the click more, but there are hundreds of women who say, they're like, I don't know who's talking about that it's so easy, because I've been sitting at 0 to 2 viewers for 5 years, and they're beautiful, and they're like, I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're not entertaining. Maybe they're not good at the game. Maybe they're playing something so niche. There are so many variables to it. And so this brings me to one of the questions that I specifically wanted to ask you as well. What would you tell other guys who have girlfriends that aren't gamers? Or if there's a girlfriend, actually, we'll start with that question. What would you do?
So if you have a girlfriend that's not a gamer, not interested in gaming, I think the best thing that you can do is, based on what their hobbies are, try to connect the hobbies together in some way, because every girl is going to have something that they're interested in. There's a game for everything out there. Yeah. Like, if you have a girl that loves like
Animal Crossing,
if you have a girl that loves horses, like, There's horse games out there, literally. Like there's so much you can choose from. They're like, it's crazy. So you just have to think, okay, who is this person that I'm dating? What do they like? Like, are they huge on like cooking, food, sounds? Like a lot of people that aren't big gamers might like Rock Band because they like hearing music, and then it's like kind of intuitive. You can kind of play it, whatever.
We had a lot of Mario Kart fans last time.
Yes,
that were popping in.
Mario Kart was like a big one. So like, hey, like I don't know if you want to get them into Mario Kart, that's like a chill game, but there's like a lot of ways. There's like so many ways to do it. Like if you know the person's a party person, you can definitely do party things with video games and show them they can have fun doing that. Like if you played Mortal Kombat, but every time you lose, you take a drink.
Yes.
Or you do Mario Kart, you do Beerio Kart. So it's like you can't finish the lap until you finish your drink. So you can, a lot of people either race to the end, wait, finish their beer, chug it, and then go across, or like chug it at the start, whatever. So you can get them involved into gaming like that. There's just a lot of different ways that you can do it, but I think the best thing is to find something comparable. So Josie, I know that Josie, like she likes her action. Like I feel like she's an adventurous person, and she loved her TV shows and movies. And I know that she had seen, or she knows about the Hunger Games. Did you read the Hunger Games too?
I did, and I'm not a big
fan. So I
of
also read the Hunger Games, so I knew that too. So I was like, okay, Hunger Games feels like a great example to use to get her into PUBG of all games. So because I was like, hey, you know the Hunger Games? Well, this game is kind of actually like the Hunger Games. I come into this place with like, instead of 16 people, it's 100 people. And so you kind of just like kind of break their world. You're just like this thing that they're super interested into it, and there's like a game about it, but it's like crazier, and you're like, what? So I don't know. That's how I broke you into getting into the game stuff.
You broke me.
I broke you. I just ruined you with it. But there's a way to do it with every person. And so again, some people are sports fans. There's sports games. Some people are more visual. Some people are, I don't know, like if you're like into like ancient history, there's so many games that you can do that bring a girl into ancient history. Like if you play any of the Assassin's Creed games or Civilizations or like whatever, like you just should know. You should be able to gauge what they like doing. Things that you
it's okay if it doesn't work too, though, because you tried Portal, because that's a puzzle game, and it sounded really cool, and you thought I would love it, but I honestly hated it. I was like, this is so stupid. I was raging at the computer.
It makes me really mad that you didn't like the game, but I can't control that.
I know, but hey, I do love the FPS too, and all the fighting games. Okay, so then that brings me to another question. What do you think you would have done, or how would you have handled it if I told you that you had to quit, or if someone else is going through something like that?
Okay, it's really
I know
tough.
that's always a heavy
question. Thing. I think that ultimatums are just a no in almost every scenario.
I like that.
There's a small percentage. If it's like, hey, you need to stop gaming because you've got a problem, you spend 15 hours a day behind your computer and you won't even like get up to go and like
check on me.
You pee in a bottle while you're at your desk the entire day. Like,
I know that there's probably people like that too.
There's terms like I learned a term from a friend. It's called poop socking. I don't think it's real, but people would be in like raids for like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars or things like this, and you're there for like 3-4 hours repeating the same actions trying to beat a boss. You don't have time to take a shit. Literally, like if you don't, so people would poop in their sockers. Like I don't know. There's like really funny weird things
that is
that
crazy.
happen.
Wow.
But going back around, so with the advice, I think
ultimatums, yes.
The ultimatums. So the advice on ultimatums is that I don't think ultimatums are good, but you need to be able to consider yourself and think, okay, am I doing something that's productive or unproductive? You have to categorize what you do. Are you doing it as passion pursuit? Are you doing it as passion to make money? Are you doing it to make money? Are you doing it to blow off steam? What are you doing it for? And if for gaming, it's like, okay, I need to blow off steam. I play like 10 hours a week, like 2 hours a day, every day, Monday through Friday, because I hate my job. And afterwards I get to like kind of calm down. Tell your significant other, look, I only play games for this. Mm-hmm. Communicate. I get it. The big thing with relationships is communication. Like you just have to tell each other everything at all times, because you keep things away from each other, hide things, shit falls apart. So we've
been dating for about almost 7 years.
It's
so
almost
we do
7
have
years.
A little, my college sweetheart. So we have a little bit of help. Or a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, but communication is huge. So if you have someone that's telling you like, no, and again, it's like a parent thing. If your parents are like, you're not allowed to game until you leave the house, you may be screwed and stuck until you leave the house. There might be nothing that you can do for it. Also, again, a lot of people out there want to be gaming as a career. As I said before, figure out how you want to make it a career, what you can make it as a career, be realistic and really try, but don't give up everything for it too. Like,
yeah, you might
it's
have
like,
to, it might have to
I
be a
think
side thing that
this is
then
a big thing.
transitions.
The biggest, so one of the biggest mistakes that I made personally, but it's something I had to learn and live through, was when the pandemic hit, or like right before it hit, I graduated college and I chose like, hey, I don't want to work. I want to try doing gaming full time. So I'm just not going to work. And
Well,
try
I
to game
pushed you to
full-time.
that too, though. I totally pushed you to do
But
that.
even outside of that, that's still my mistake, because at that time, I still should have been working. I had a restaurant job before then. I still should have kept working in restaurants during that time, because you should not make that leap unless you are financially prepared for an extent. I was prepared for like 4 months. I thought that I'd be able to start making money within 4 months. I was wrong. But you need to give yourself a huge buffer, but you need to be making money first too, while giving yourself that buffer. I know there's some stories, there's some people that were like, hey, I'm going to quit doing everything in life, buy a PC with a credit card, and I'm going to start streaming until I become famous. And a couple of people actually did become famous doing that. But again, I'd seen that person. I'm like, I know that I'm a better gamer than this person, and they're able to make it happen. I'm going to try to do it. And just being a better gamer isn't it? Like, there's so many other things
so
you
much
have
more
to do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, going back to that whole thing, it's when you have someone, communicate, make sure that you're on the same page. If you want to be able to play 5 hours with the boys, tell them, I need sometimes to be able to play with the boys for 5 hours. I'm sorry. I know you probably want attention. So here's like, I bought you a movie to go and watch, and here's like your favorite snack. Go buy.
I think it's all about give and take. And I think a lot of guys who, when their girlfriends or significant others or wives, whenever they get upset about it, it's not necessarily about the gaming. It's because they're not paying attention to them, or they've ignored them. Like, they come straight home from work, they don't talk to them for 3 hours, and then they go straight to gaming with the guys. And then you
just imagine you have 6 hours with that person a day because they're working, and in that 6 hours, 5 of those hours they've gamed. It's not going to be good. But so if you tell them beforehand, hey, I'm going to game for 5 hours. I need to play with the boys. I need this for my soul. Like, it's the one thing that's going to keep me whole.
It's for my soul.
It's for my soul to keep me whole, please. Like, just say it.
And then make sure you're also like taking care of things too. Like, if like, make sure that you're doing your part around the house. Make sure that you're maybe going on a date. Like, schedule a date once in a while.
Compromise is huge. This also applies to the parents, because this is a common thing. So between having a significant other that may not like you gaming, compromise is what gets you through. And also with a parent, like, let's say parents are like, stop wasting time behind video games. Like, you're not going to go anywhere. Compromise. Be like, hey, I get straight A's. Can I please play like during the week 2 hours a day? So then on the weekend I can play 8 hours, make content, do this stuff. I want to make it happen. Compromise. Just like, if anything, it's like, okay, I'll work, I'll get straight A's and do whatever else. I'll do extra chores.
I'll have a job, and
if you want to make it work, you can make it work. And if they say no, then go get a job, make as much money as you can. And that way, when you're out of the house, you have like your runway. So you can be like, I want to focus on gaming and do this full time now. And then you have an opportunity to.
This is another interesting idea, and then we'll wrap up. I think if you have a good job and you're able to, which I know is really hard, but if you can purchase a home I'm pretty sure it depends on where you are, and it depends on, of course, the market and the timing. But even if you get an office job and you're salaried, I know someone who got salaried, and within that like week, because they had been salaried for a week and it was a government job, they were able to buy a house, which is crazy. Or if you can get a co-signer or a parent, I'm not giving too much financial advice here, but if you can get a home, and then you can rent out the other rooms and because I think like apartment and the mortgage is or the cost of living, that's one of the highest expenses. So if you can get other people to pay your mortgage and then some, and then you can spend all time gaming, that's a really good strategy that I don't think most people use, if you can. Again, but also restaurants is a way better, like, lower version where you can work nights.
Yeah, so basically, to summarize that, I tell people work restaurants because it's
that's
weird hours all the time,
doable,
which is like doable, and you get paid the most for the least amount of hours worked on average. It's easy to get into, keeps you social as well. You talk to people all day, so that's healthy. But
you have options.
If you're able to get a house, I mean, the whole idea is, if you want to make this a career, minimize your expenses.
So having a house, if you have roommates and you're able to make the roommates basically pay for the mortgage, you're not paying rent now. Awesome, great.
Yeah.
Whatever your strategy is, like moving back with your mom and dad because you're like, hey, mom and dad, I'm 19, but I want to be a pro gamer, and they're happy with it. Go and live with them and save every dollar that you can to make it happen. Because
you can, it sounds cheesy, but you can accomplish what you want, especially even something like gaming, and it's worth at least a shot, especially while you're young. And worst case, you'll learn so much about yourself, and you'll see, okay, maybe this wasn't for me, or this isn't the time, but at least giving yourself that shot, because nobody ever wants to die with any regrets whatsoever. So okay, I think that's a great place to end this. Thank you so much again, Nader, for popping on. I know that this is your part 2. So if you guys want to watch, go back to part 1. And next time we're going to have some new people on the show. Some people are going to be some other females talking about their journeys. Some people are some micro influencers as well in the Apex space and just gamers in general. So yeah, I'm excited for what's next. And thank you again, Nader. Maybe you'll come on later towards the end. We'll have to see.
sounds good.
All right.